Morning, it's Tuesday. Let's just get into it. There's something I want to show you about why we need to partner with people in India and why we don't have the ability to make great quality leather. Leather that isn't good enough for you and therefore isn't good enough for me. Come take a look. Right now they're putting leather out to dry. That is not how you're supposed to dry leather. It's not supposed to have direct sunlight. It's not supposed to be on the ground because it gets dirty. And then also there's no humidity control when it's on the ground. What you're supposed to do is have it hanging in racks that basically go in the ceiling and drop down at different levels so the humidity changes, the airflow is constant. That's how you're supposed to dry leather, not that. But obviously we're not set up to have racks around the facility and dry the leather in the right way. The chemicals are one issue. We can't get good quality chemicals locally. We have to source from India, which we can do. But then we get to the issue of, okay, well, that's how we're drying leather right now. That's not good. Tanning is a very capital intensive process. Therefore, we have to take shortcuts. Shortcuts are good enough when you sell locally. It's not good enough for you. So I wanted to share that with you because obviously with the bags in India, with the bags that we're partnering with the people in India, the message has to be right. The marketing, the communication has to be right with you. Because I don't want to say, hey, this is made in Uganda when you go, no, this is made in India. And Roy and I were talking a lot about it too, and I think he said something interesting. These products are made in Uganda, but they're also made for Uganda. So what you're seeing right there, that's where we're at right now. With the bags you buy and documenting this process, you're able to see how we're putting more and more pieces in place to make better products and better invest in the community here. Because that's what it's all about. It's not, hey, look at us, we're transforming lives, we're saving the world, look at us, we're great. It's just, no, it's hard, it's difficult, step by step. I don't want you to believe in a result. I want you to believe in the process that we arrive at the result. Every organization will say, we've made it, we're changing things. But the truth is, it's a very gradual, slow, methodical process. So I want to bring you into that process, not tell you about a result that really isn't quite there. This is the first bag Kareth made with the cut components from India. As you can see on the edges, the leather's pulling in. Yeah, as you see, the stitching on the handles isn't good enough, but we're going for number 2. These are the raw hides. They're splitting the leather before they do take off the hair, all the flesh, and turn it into leather. This is where it starts. And these also are the hides that Roy is semi-processing and sending to India to get into finished leather. We don't have the ability to make it into good quality finished leather. As you saw outside there, they can't dry it, don't have the chemicals. So we do this process, get it to a stable state so it doesn't spoil, send it to Asia, and then they make it into leather. And then we make it into bags. Closing out for the day, just after 5 right now. There's a guy from the Ministry of Trade that was at the factory, so talked with him for, gosh, I don't know, more than an hour with Roy. Good talk with him. I mean, he's pretty close. I mean, he has meetings with the president, and he heard about Roy, what Roy's doing, and the fact that he has a whole value chain of leather. It's interesting kind of talking with him. We'll see what comes from it, and you can't really expect much with politicians. So we had that, and then Roy and I talked a bit about just everything. But I want to close out today talking about an idea I've been kicking around regarding the value chain. With the partnerships with the manufacturers in India, it's making me think a lot about the value chain, how to really communicate and represent the products. We live in a very globalized world. If a product says made in Mexico, made in China, a lot of times there's parts from the US, there's parts from Europe in these products. The iPhone is a perfect example. Even though it's technically made in China, China's capturing very little of the value. And that's why, in fact, the iPhone doesn't say made in China, it says assembled in China for this very reason. And so more and more value chains are convoluted. It's really not a binary thing. With all the bags that we're making, it's using Ugandan hides, we're finishing it in Uganda, but the steps in between, sometimes more of it's being done in India, sometimes more of it's being done in Uganda. So how do I communicate that? How do I represent that? And that's what's been going on in my mind. So I want to talk about an idea that came into my mind on how to effectively communicate and also an honest way to communicate the value to Uganda, who's doing what, and how does this work out with the partnership in India. And 100% of the profit gets reinvested into businesses here in Uganda. And one of the reasons why is because by investing the profit, not giving away the profit, I can put a lot more money into the local economy. My production costs need to be essentially 25% of the retail cost. Because eventually I need to set things up so 2-3 years from now, whenever it is, I go to retail and can still grow and scale this company. But to start, I'm going direct to consumer, selling online. So basically, I should capture that full 75%, meaning that 50 cents that in the future might go to the retailer is profit. And then also I have the 25% of production costs. Therefore, if I have a fully made product in Uganda, at least 75% of what you pay for that product goes to Uganda. 75 cents on the dollar would go to Uganda. So the thought is, for each product I have, putting a number, having a piece of paper that says 55, 60, 75, meaning that 50 cents on the dollar goes to Uganda, 60 cents on the dollar goes to Uganda, 70 cents on the dollar goes to Uganda for every single item. I mean, this is basically kind of re-engineering the same idea in nonprofits when they look at overhead costs. Because people want to know how much go to the program, because they can't really evaluate the quality of the nonprofit, so they just say, well, tell me how much money goes to the program. So the number would communicate how much of their purchase goes to the community that they want to affect. And because I'm investing 100% of the profit, the number is unheard of for a for-profit company. Again, most companies, their production costs are 25%. So at most, 25 cents on the dollar is going to that country where it's made. And it also creates a way for us to kind of talk about, hey, if we have one bag where 75 cents on the dollar goes to Uganda, well, let's look at the quality difference between something that only 60 cents on the dollar goes to Uganda. Because I can say, well, it's because it has hardware. I can say, well, look at the quality of the leather. You look at the difference. We can't do this right now in Uganda. We need the support of India. This is what we can do fully in Uganda. This is what we need to do in India to help bridge the gap. And then over time, as we invest in the capacity here in voice operation, a bag that, say, right now is 55 goes to 60, goes to 70, and eventually to 75, where we can say, hey, we can do it all now in Uganda. So there's an accountability there where year over year, you should see that number improve. That helps communicate our challenges in terms of production. It helps communicate why we need to partner in India. It's transparent, it gives accountability. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about that concept? Like, does that make sense? Do you think that's an effective way to market? Is that honest? Because saying it's made in Uganda is a binary thing, and that's just not the reality of the situation. It is made in Uganda, but it's not really for me to decide. It's for you to decide the value you see in the product and the value you see that product has for this community. So in creating this number, trying to communicate it, I'm trying to help you understand the impact, of your purchase. And with this vlog, you can see what we're actually putting the money towards to see those improvements come in and watch us move processes from India to Uganda. Honestly, this is an idea that's been bounced around, came to my mind in the last few hours. Really want to know your thoughts. Does that make sense? Let me know, and see you on the next vlog.